Time now for Prediction Market Edge here on the early line. Thanks for tuning in. Craig Mish along with Joe Ranieri. Let's get started with the story that just keeps on percolating, which is, of course, Joe, the idea that the state of Nevada has just had it with prediction markets. In fact, Nevada gaming regulators are asking a state court to hold Kalshi in contempt, alleging that prediction markets are continuing to access sports, election, and entertainment contracts without being allowed to because of a court order that blocks them via geofencing. Naturally, these stories, Joe, are all about money. They're making it more about licensing, but you and I know that this is just all about the fact that Nevada wants to hold all of their sports bets for their own, all of their casino bets for their own, and any money going off to anyone on the side is not something that they are used to. The only question is, Joe, in the next year or two, will Nevada and some of these states be able to make these sort of decisions? I personally think, Joe, that this is eventually headed to the Supreme Court, and that decision will be made because they're really the only ones that can really weigh in on this.
And it's going to be very difficult to do because you've already got a lot of people. If you can't beat them, join them, right? And anytime you've seen the major sports books start to open up their own prediction markets, you've got a different ball game here, Craig. I mean, this is, when the DraftKings and the FanDuels of the world have now said, you know what, we're going to open up our own prediction markets. That tells you everything you need to know about the future of what's happening here. And, Kalshi, I'd rather ask for forgiveness than permission. That kind of feels like what we've got going on here.
Yep, that's been going on for a long time here, but we roll on with our prediction markets. And in fact, we're going to get a much more in-depth look at all of the World Cup action with Kyle Bonn of the Sporting News in about 5 minutes from now. But first, Joe, let's take a look at how the prediction markets, including Kalshi, see one of the matches today. We'll start off with one of our games of the day. That is France taking on Senegal. France, 67%, Senegal, 14%. And the numbers that are really interesting on the prediction markets, Joe, after yesterday are the reaction to these ties. You're starting to see ties pop up a lot more now that we saw, I believe it was 3 or 4 ties at the World Cup yesterday. Some folks think Senegal actually has a shot in this one, but I think the big movement here are on some of these matches ending 2-2, 1-1, etc.
4 games yesterday, 4 ties, Craig, right? And it started with the whole biggest favorite so far in Spain not being able to score on Cape Verde and a 0-0, 0-0 game, if you can believe that. And then it didn't get any better. Not a lot of separation from teams yesterday, which likely means recency bias. The public will be all over the ties today here in the three-way markets, but the reality is we'll probably get blowout after blowout because that's how it works. But Senegal has more than enough offensive firepower to give France some issues here. Don't forget, Senegal was the one that the biggest, I think, to date upset in World Cup history happened when Senegal entered against France in the opening round years ago. So, and they've gotten better here. This is a tricky spot for France, and given what we've already seen, nothing is safe. But I do think both teams are going to have success offensively. I love the both teams to score market. It would have cashed outside of the Spain game in 3 out of the 4 games yesterday, Greg, and I think it's going to cash in this one as well.
Meanwhile, as Joe mentioned earlier in the show, whenever Argentina plays, it's the Messi show. So most folks are in on that. 70% of the tickets on Argentina. A tie, again, has moved up in this match, too, to 21%. Algeria at 11%. This will be the second World Cup match of the day, Joe. Not a lot of backing here on Algeria, I see.
No, and you're not when anytime Messi in the market is available here. And, listen, there were some question marks, and this with his Miami FC situation here about his health and would he play in this year's World Cup? Would he be available? Well, he's looked the part leading into it, and we know he's the leader. He was tremendous in 2022. All indications are he's going to be just as good this year. I think maybe even just Messi to score, yes, would be a tremendous market to be in. I see him having another big effort and big World Cup this year. Don't bet against Messi. We learned that the hard way here in Miami.
Imagine being in the middle of June, Joe, and doing prediction markets and me telling you that Garrett Cole is pitching for the Yankees and the White Sox are getting 44% on the prediction markets
Yep.
today. That's because they just are taking everybody down, including the Dodgers. 56% on the Yankees today, White Sox 44%. Joe, I know that on the money line in the betting market, you like New York today. So, certainly I know where your head is there on this.
Yeah, and listen, I don't mind the under. I think this is going to be a bit of a pitcher's battle early. And Garrett Cole, I believe his strikeouts also 5.5 is what we're looking at right now in the market, and would not shock me if at home. Against a surging White Sox team that maybe he drops it into another gear. I think the rust is starting to come off. I think Garrett Cole might be looking at a laddering up here in the strikeout prop tonight.
Meanwhile, the Atlanta Braves, one of the best teams in baseball, will take on the San Francisco Giants. The Giants are on the road this week. This is a Giants team, Joe, that I am going to see this weekend here in South Florida when the Marlins come back. They have a 3-game series, so I got to be watching the Giants preparing for my weekend broadcast here. But the Braves right now, 59% of the tickets, Giants 41%. San Francisco this offseason, they went out, they signed Adrian Hauser to a 1-year contract to fortify the rotation, and he hasn't done it. It's not like the Braves have an ace on the mound, but they have the better pitcher.
Yeah, and not good. I mean, they've been slumping a little bit, coming back down to earth, the Braves. And yeah, it's going to be interesting here with the Giants coming to town. But listen, Holmes has done a great job. Last year he had to be that arm out of the bullpen. They needed all those injuries to the starting pitching. He's actually done a pretty decent job being a mid to back end rotation guy. And the way Atlanta hits, yeah, he's been able to rack up some wins, but they have not been hitting. They do get Drake Baldwin back, but I think that changes with Hauser. I think that he's exactly the kind of pitcher a slumping lineup wants to face in this spot at home. I think Atlanta, in a big way, gets it done tonight.
Most popular player in the WNBA is Caitlin Clark. So whenever she plays, the majority of the tickets and the percentages are going to be on the Indiana Fever. And tonight, 74%. They take on the Tempo at 26%, Joe. This is our WNBA prediction market game of the day.
So, to your point, Caitlin Clark, she had a little rough go of it early on in the season here, but now starting to come into form. I think over the last 3 wins now for the Fever, she's averaging 25 points, close to 7 assists, and 4 boards a game. So, yeah, I would look to maybe Caitlin Clark hitting those numbers, going up and over. Her PRA might not be a bad look here tonight.
And finally, the NBA draft coming up next week. We'll be following this market very closely here. Boozer, Peterson, Dybansa. Those are probably 1, 2, 3 in no particular order, but the prediction markets say that Dybansa at 78% is seemingly the leader here, Joe. Do you agree with that assessment? Do any of the news on Peterson stating that he only wants to meet with the Wizards change anything for you?
No, I mean, listen, that's nice that that's all he wants to do. But the reality is, that's not maybe what everybody else wants to do. And I think, listen, you mentioned those 3 guys. Those 3 guys are game changers. Dybansa at 6'8" is, everybody believes, is the absolute, future wing player for a franchise, whether it be Washington or it be Utah. I think he's a better fit in Utah. Coming from BYU, he has publicly said he wants to play. He would love to play for Utah and stay home. So it's going to be interesting. Washington, don't forget, has 1 million players on its team that are cast off. Guys like Trae Young and Davis and others. So I don't know the direction Washington's going to go, but they can't go wrong with the 3 guys that you just mentioned.
For the very best breakdown here on the World Cup, we've got our in-game live shows. Kevin Walsh and Gabe have you covered there. On our show coming up next, Kyle Bonn will be with us from the Sporting News to give you a preview of France and Senegal. We'll be back with more Prediction Market Edge after this. Welcome back to Prediction Market Edge. I'm Craig Mish along with Joe Ranieri. We're joined by Kyle Bonn of Sporting News to break down the latest in the World Cup. And Kyle joins us now. Kyle, good morning. And certainly before we get to today's matches, some very big surprises yesterday. Tie, tie, tie. And no, I'm not talking about what I'm not wearing here. It was a tie day at the World Cup.
Yeah, no, it was an interesting day to say the least. But this really goes to show, Craig, how exciting and interesting and fun draws can be. I know that the American audience may not fully agree there or quite grasp it yet, but I really think that you look at each one of those results and each one had something exciting and valuable to it. I mean, the Spain Cape Verde one was thrilling because Spain, this powerhouse trying to get past one of the smallest nations ever to play at the World Cup. You've got the finisher, Iran, New Zealand was a thrilling game, the best game of the day. Two teams with lots on the line, with lots of adversity going at it. I mean, Iran, we know what they've been going through. So every game had something special to it. And just because it ended in a draw doesn't mean that it wasn't exciting.
It's a good day, though, isn't it? Right? Mbappe, Messi on the card, going to be out on the pitch here. But, France better be careful with Senegal. We saw that upset years ago, right? All of a sudden. But they certainly feel like Senegal has enough offensive power to make this interesting. What do you see happening here?
Yeah, I certainly do. Sadio Mane is an unbelievable player. He's not quite at what he was when he was at his peak at Liverpool, but he's still a very dangerous player. I struggle here in this game with Senegal's defense. They're normally a very good defensive side. They have a number of recognizable players who either were playing in the Premier League, are playing in the Premier League, but they were really poor in their two warm-up games. They got pressed into oblivion by the United States in that 3-2 defeat for Senegal. And then they were not the better team in a 0-0 draw with Saudi Arabia in a game where Saudi Arabia missed three huge chances to score. So I worry about them defensively against the best attack in the world. You've got Kylian Mbappe, but alongside him, you've got Michael Olise. You've got a number of very good attacking players in this team. Bradley Barcola, Desiree Doué, the list goes on. So I worry defensively about Senegal in this game. And I think I would take the odds are tough on a number of these games today. So we'll get to that. But I think in this game, Kylian Mbappe, anytime goal scorer at around even money is very good. He is chasing the all-time World Cup goal scoring record. He's only, I believe, 4 goals off of Miroslav Klose's record, and only 27 years old. So, you would expect him to get there, if not this tournament, then the next one. But he is just an incredible goal scorer, and he's in a balanced team in this France team, whereas at Real Madrid, he's still scoring tons of goals, but the team isn't very balanced around him. It's well set up for him in this France team.
We have Iraq taking on Norway, Kyle, where Norway is expected to win and win easily, but certainly you never know how these things are going to go, as we saw yesterday with Spain. Iraq takes on Norway, as I mentioned, and most of the odds and action is going to be on them today. But do you think that the odds represent where this match should be?
I don't, and I struggle with this game because I expect Norway to win. But when the odds are so skewed towards the expected result, it makes things really difficult. I think Erling Haaland will get at least a goal in this game, if not 2. He has one of the most unbelievable goal scoring records that you'll ever see at the international level. He has 55 goals in 50 games for Norway. Yes, that is more goals than games, and you never see that. That is unheard of. But the odds are so skewed. And what we've seen over the last few days is top teams, especially European teams have really struggled to start this World Cup, that while on paper, I would expect Norway to win this game 2-0, 3-0, the way things have been going is a slow start for the power teams. I'm considering backing Iraq in this game. And the best way to do that would be on what we call double chance, which is your bet pays out on either an Iraq draw or victory. And when the odds are so heavily skewed in one side's favor, if you double chance the other side, things can go well. So, for example, a double chance on Cape Verde to draw or beat Spain, which I happened to tip right before kickoff, would ended up paying out at plus 900. So, those can work out well for you. And I'm starting to feel like there's an opportunity here. I still do think Norway will win. I just don't. The odds are brutal in this game.
All right. What
Let's
are we
get
doing
to
with Messi today? Is he scoring? Should I bet it right now? What are we doing with him?
I am staying away from Lionel Messi this whole tournament. He's an unbelievable player. Do not get me wrong. I think he is the best player ever to play this game. He's still at an incredibly high level, but let me tell you why. Argentina do not blow teams out. It is not what they do. This is a team that is the best in the world at slowly choking the life out of an opponent, at slowly suffocating them into submission. This is a team that wins 1-0, 2-0, and it's a dominant 2-0 or a dominant 1-0. But they don't score enough goals for me to back any one particular goal scorer. You could get Lautaro, you could get Messi, you could get anybody. So I take the under in Argentina games because they are so good at just slowly suffocating a game away.
Kyle, Friday night, we have U.S. taking on Australia. I know that Christian Pulisic has been somewhat of a story here with his injury status, but the way Team USA looked in their first match, I would expect nothing less against Australia. This could be actually the run that a lot of folks have been looking for.
It is. Christian Pulisic should be fit for the game. It looks like he's going to be okay. I took a deep dive into what Australia looks like. I expect a similar result from the U.S. They are just not good enough tactically, and the U.S.'s strengths match up with Australia's weaknesses extremely well. It's going to be when the U.S. faces a pressing team that I'm going to start to worry, but this one should go well.
All right, Kyle, enjoy the matches today. We'll catch up again soon. That's Kyle Bonn of Sporting News. We'll be right back to wrap it up. Welcome back to Prediction Market Edge here on the early line. It's time now for our Fade the Market poll. Vote now. What market do you want tomorrow us to cover on Prediction Market Edge? Well, look what everyone wants to talk about. Let's take a look. U.S. Open getting 40%, but Joe, an event that isn't happening for 3 months is what they want to hear. Yeah. It's the NFL week 1. You know, Joe, I'm looking at it here. We are a month away from NFL training camp opening. We are less than 2 months from college football beginning. And we're closing in on football season here, man. Like, we're going to be, basically hitting this in July and August. We're coming up. So we'll take a look tomorrow at some of the international games week 1.
It's kind of crazy that time flies. Get ready for it because it'll be here before you know it. We'll be talking a lot of NFL and getting ready for the kickoff week 0 on college football as well. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it is Labor Day weekend. I mean, it's crazy right around the corner here. All right. But first, we got to get to the U.S. Open this weekend. It is Father's Day. So happy Father's Day to everybody watching. It was not a great day last year for Wyndham Clark at the U.S. Open. He didn't make the cut and decided to take it out on the locker room. Here is Wyndham Clark on that event from last year.
I know you've talked about it a bit. You didn't love the way you left Oakmont last year. What have you learned over the past year?
Yeah, that was a really challenging time, and it's something I've deeply regretted and feel awful that I did that. But there were so many good lessons in that that really taught me a bunch, and I've really come a long way, and I'm excited for this year's Open for some redemption and to move forward and enjoy the challenges of Shinnecock and how great this place is and how amazing this championship is.
All right, so Wyndham Clark definitely took his frustrations out, and at least he's a man about it, Joe, right? Like there, he said he used, you know what they use in sports now, Joe, when they say that they, instead of saying I screwed up, I think we should use it too on this show. When I mess up, I'm going to say that was a challenging segment that we just did. It was very challenging. Very
challenging. Yeah, but there are lessons to be learned from that challenging segment there. That sounds like a man that is very well coached in the PR department. That's like he was almost given bullet point after bullet point of exactly what to go up and say. Very polished, Wyndham, very polished.
U.S. Open winner odds over on Kalshi in the prediction market say Scotty Scheffler has taken 13% right now of all investments. Rory McIlroy at 6.7, John Rahm at 5.2, Xander at 5%, and then Matt Fitzpatrick at 4.3%. That's where we stand there. Meanwhile, in the National Football League, Kalshi is now live for their openers in week 1 of the NFL. We have September 9th, 8:20 p.m. Eastern. It is the New England Patriots taking on, yes, the defending champions, Seattle Seahawks, with 65% going right now to Seattle, New England 35%. You take a deep breath when you see stuff like this, Joe, because I know we're closing in on doing this every week in the National Football League.
It does feel like maybe, with the news of the Myles Garrett trade and everything else, it does feel like there might have been just a bit of an overreaction in some of the markets here when it comes to the Rams. The question is it a big enough overreaction where now we've created some value on the defending champs, the Seahawks? We know how hard it is, Craig, to go back-to-back year after year, right, in the NFL. Is there a logical regression here for the Seahawks, or is it already priced in? But it feels like the love for the Rams across these markets is a little excessive right now.
Yeah, I would agree. I think what happens in off seasons of sports is that when transactions are made, it's the very worst time to invest in that player and in that team, because it's always a little bit of an overreaction, in my opinion. All right, so folks, we'll be back here on the early line tomorrow. We'll get you ready for another day of the World Cup, so make sure you stick around and tune in. And also, don't forget, we have exclusive coverage of every match of the World Cup on our in-game live shows. Check check your listings and make sure you download the SportsGrid app. You can stream us and watch our shows during the World Cup from a sports betting perspective. I hope you tune in. Thanks again to our entire crew, and of course for Tommy producing the show today, and thanks to my co-host Joe Ranieri. I'm Craig Mish. This has been The Early Line here on SportsGrid. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning for our next edition of the show. Have a great day, everyone.